Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari, and I don't want to be depressing, but it seems like the world order is crumbling. If you look around, things aren't looking very rosy at all. And I want to use this video to present alternatives because we think this is the only way to go about ruling and taking care of civilization, but there are other alternatives, and there's a beautiful alternative we find in the ancient Vedic texts. In the Puranas, we see lots of descriptions of these. So I want to share with you what the ancient Vedic version of organizing society and how society should be ruled, how civilization should be taken forward. I want to share that with you here just so we can put that out there as a possible future alternative when this current system crumbles. Now, why do I think the system is crumbling? Well, I think democracy is failing. Democracy was a nice idea, but it's basically failing now. The meeting of democracy with the internet didn't go well, and soon, populist leaders figured out how to hack democracy, which is what you're seeing kind of all over the world. They kind of hacked it, and so they just generated so much mistrust, and you just don't know who to believe, and people just don't believe in anything anymore. And now we have AI. Now we have super advanced AI that can just take me. I could get my face and saying anything, and you wouldn't tell the difference. You could have like a live Zoom call with me, and it wouldn't be me. It would be somebody else, but it would be my voice. It would be my face, and you just like, how do you know how to trust anyone? It's just impossible. So much distrust in general. People don't trust institutions, don't trust the media, don't trust anything, and the populist leaders hack this system and make just people hate each other and attack each other just so they can get their own little votes, so they can get their own power, destroying even their own country in the process. They don't care as long as they get the power. So democracy is kind of failing. It only works in very small, well-educated, homogeneous countries, but in larger countries with a more diverse society, not looking very good. Also, inequality is just running rampant. It just keeps increasing more and more. The billionaires getting richer and everybody else getting poorer. And it's just like increasing disparity. This is also going to come to a limit where people are just going to revolt. People just aren't going to take it anymore. So that's also not, and there's no solution for it because, of course, in this current system, the billionaires, the rich people, they pay for the politicians. So the politicians won't vote against them. They'll vote with them. And sometimes even the politician is the billionaire, So, it's not going to change. So that's not going to look good as well. And also, thirdly, and that's, I'll stop there. There are other things we could go on, but I'll stop with number 3 here. We have increasing power. So there's increasing military power and technological power in humanity. So with this increasing power, you get increasing lack of stability, because now like a small group can have a lot of power, and now how's this going to be used in the world stage? It just causes chaos, as we're kind of seeing happening right now. So if this doesn't work out, if the current system, the global order doesn't work out, what did the ancient Indian culture look like? What did ancient Vedic culture look like? Well, it's very interesting. For one thing, they had this system whereby the ruler, they had kings. I'm not saying we should reinstall monarchy, but they had a ruler, and this ruler was subjugated to the class of wise people called the Brahmanas. So there was a class of people called the Brahmanas. And there are Brahmanas, of course, I'm saying. All society only had those. So the Brahmanas, they're responsible for study, they're responsible for religiosity, they're responsible for knowing the codes of conduct, moral ethics, kind of like philosophy. So just kind of like a thinking, the equivalent today to the academics, to philosophers, to religious, spiritual people. So they were a class of people dedicated to the values of society. It's principally Dharma, which is something I'm going to go back to at the end. So they're responsible for that. But they could not have any income. They couldn't have a salary. So they couldn't live off it. They couldn't sell their dedication. They couldn't sell their words, their wisdom to somebody else. They had to be above suspicion. So they couldn't have a salary. They would have to live and get donations. And so just it was, and it was a whole culture. It's a whole class of people, not just one like a pope or something. No, a whole class of people. So if one's like getting a little corrupted, then he just, somebody else would come in, and out of the people in the same class would say, no, he's corrupted, he's not one of us. So it's a whole class of people called the Brahmanas. So the ruler, they were called the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas would have to submit to the wise decisions of the Brahmanas. Now, what do you have with that? It's very interesting, because in a ruler, what do we want? Of course, a ruler has to have that, that gung-ho, go for it, kind of feel like, yes, leader, that kind of power. It's called the Rajas thing. So more of a Rajas mentality of go get him and build and make it stronger and win the war. So that kind of like power personality. We need that in a ruler. But we also need the wisdom, the restraint. And you really can't have that. I guess you could. You had the Raja Rishis, but it's very rare to have that in the same person. So the same person with both these qualities, both the go get and build it, win the war, expand mentality, and also the restraint, wisdom, goodness, kindness, compassion mentality. Very hard to have two people with that. So with this system, you had the ruler with this go-get-em mentality, but then he had to submit to the wise. So when it came to like war or something, the Brahmins were like, yeah, you're the guy. You go ahead, you take care. Expansion, you build the economy. Yeah, you take care of that stuff. Now, but then they would say, no, but not like that. You can't do, that's immoral, that's unethical, that's not appropriate, that's not wise. And then they would, the ruler would have to submit to that energy, to that consensus of the Brahmanas that, no, that's not the proper thing to do. That's not the way things, that's not wise, that's not correct, it's not morally or ethically acceptable. So can you imagine if we could have like rulers who had to submit to, let's say, these days would be, scientists and philosophers and thinking people who had to submit ethically and morally their decisions to such people. That would be very nice. So that was a system they had, and it worked beautifully for thousands of years. So it was a great system. It actually worked, prosperity, everybody was happy, and people were respected. Now, you had the Kshatriyas and you had the Brahmanas doing that job. Now, who else did you have in society? You had the class of people generating the economy, the Vaishyas. So the Vaishyas, they were the ones making money. They were the ones, the farmers, they were producing. They were the ones who were producing stuff in the economy. They were making the economy run. So the rulers, they wouldn't produce. They wouldn't be businessmen. So a ruler couldn't have his business because it's like a conflict of interest. You can't have, you're doing business and you're also taking decisions. Not good. It's one of the terrible things that goes on in lots of countries where like you have, Congress people who vote and decide on laws and change which affect companies, and then they're buying stocks of these companies, and then, oh, lo and behold, my stock went up so much because you passed the law that helped them, and you knew you were going to pass the law, so kind of insider trading, like that political insider trading, happens all over the world. It's terrible for us who are not, who are being cheated out of everything because they have their own little system going. So the Vaishyas, they couldn't be rulers, so they had to have their own thing, and the rulers doing their own thing, and then the Brahmanas doing their own thing. So this kind of respect of like, look, certain people, you do this and I'll do that, and each one sticks to his own business, to his own thing, to his own area of expertise, and you don't cross over. So you shouldn't have like, the Brahmana trying to rule, because that's not your thing. Administration and war, and that's not your thing. Your thing is thinking, it's ideas, it's evaluating, it's, what scientists, philosophers, that's one thing. Administrating, that's something else. And then making money, that's something else again. And then of course you'd have just the workers, just people who aren't specifically qualified, just a general mass of people, just gonna go to work and just, give me a paycheck, and they would get salaries. So the only people who actually got salaries were those people. They're called the Shudras. So they would get salaries, just like, just tell me what to do, and I'll get paid for it. So just a general mass of people like that. Now, another very interesting thing, which I think you will agree is a good idea, is that in this system, only the Vaishyas pay taxes. Nobody else paid taxes. So thinkers wouldn't pay taxes. If you're just a thinker, philosopher, academic, why would you be paying taxes? You're helping society with knowledge. You're helping guide society, like the knowledge, the technology, philosophy, ideas. That's what you're contributing. The rulers, they're responsible for running the government. So there's why would, they're collecting taxes. They have to collect the taxes. But the Vaishyas are the one making money. So it makes sense that the government just takes money from whoever is producing money, not people who are getting a salary. A salary doesn't count as making money. You're exchanging your time for money. It's not the same thing as a business. If you have a store and your store is making making $1,000 a month, you could have 10 stores and make $10,000 a month. You could have 100 stores. That doesn't count. So you can expand. That's business. That's real business. That's making money. I can have a farm and I can have, a farm is making a few sacks of grains, or I can have a giant farm and I can make 1,000 sacks of grains. So I can expand my business. If I'm a worker, I can't expand myself. It's just me going to work. It's just me going to work. So I just, I get paid a salary and I can't, okay, now I want to have twice. Well, you can't. And that's why, workers are screwed all over the world, because all they can do is I can just show up and do something. And you get paid this much. And you can't get paid, unless you're in a cheating system where you're ruling some huge corporation and then you're getting these absurd paychecks. But the regular person who's just, is not an administrator, not a person, we're just going to work here. So just give me, so government taxing the poor worker, you're getting a share of his life. It doesn't make sense. The government's supposed to take care of the people, not, snatch money from them, not make their lives worse. But the business, it makes sense. It makes sense that the government gets a cut of the business, because after all, the business operates within a society which is being organized by the government. So it makes sense. The government is making the highways, and it has, the police, and it has the military, and it has water and systems, and so everything that makes society work, which allows the business to exist and prosper in the first place, the government is doing. So it makes sense. The businesses pay taxes, not the people who are going to work and just getting a little salary, exchanging their work, their time for money. So that's also something I think we should definitely try to bring back to the discussion of, to the ideas, to the square of ideas, to understand the new things we could do. So these are the concepts. But of course, what's really important above everything I'm saying here, the core principle of Vedic culture and the Puranas, the core principle is Dharma. And this is what we really need. Dharma, because now society is so big, global society is such a, we're all connected now, we're super connected. What do we need to unite the whole world with? And somebody would say, oh, we need this religion. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to be yoga, and it's not going to be Christianity, it's not going to be Islam. You're never going to unite people with a specific manifestation of religion. Money, we try that. It doesn't really work as a uniting principle, because I can always try to get more money from you, and then I will want to kill you and destroy you so I can get more power and money. So power and money also are not a uniting principle. Because it's, I have more, you have less, you have more, I have less. It's a competition, and then these competitions start getting ugly. they start turning ugly. So like, okay, I'm just going to invade your country now, and no, I'm going to destroy your thing. Now I'm going to build my navy so that you don't want to mess with my. So then it just becomes, a path to confrontation. So money and power are not a uniting principle, and religion is not a uniting principle. So what's going to unite humanity? Dharma. Dharma are the principles that everybody shares. Just, classically we talk about the 4 principles of Dharma. We talk about satyam, truthfulness, daya, compassion, tapas, effort, and socham, purity. So these are principles that everybody appreciates. The whole world, everybody can, it's like Dharma is non-negotiable. Your spiritual path, okay, you want to follow Jesus, you want to follow, Islam, you want to follow this kind of thing and that kind of version and that, Krishna, and fine. That's obviously always going to be a personal choice, and we're not always going to agree on that. But Dharma, who can be against compassion? Who can say, no, we don't like compassion, we like violence. We like people being tortured and killed for no good reason. That's just not the case anywhere. If nobody believes that, there's no population that believes that's a good thing. Truthfulness. Who doesn't like truthfulness? Is there any civilization or culture who ever didn't like truthfulness? We all like truthfulness. We hate lies. We hate untruth. So truthfulness, and tapas means effort, working. Of course, everybody's like, yeah, you gotta put some effort into it. You have to work, you have to progress, energy, do the right thing, choose, do the right thing, not the easy thing, even if it's hard. So tapas just means that just working towards the best thing, doing your best and putting effort into things, into whatever it is you're doing. So everybody's into that, right? All the cultures in the world throughout time, tapas. You gotta go for it. You gotta do something. That's what got humanity to where it is now. So tapas, everybody says. Socham, everybody has a concept, of cleanliness. Of course, hygiene is a non-negotiable. Everybody understands the importance of hygiene. So socham, purity of purpose, purity of, so people understand the concept of purity, of things straight, things nice, clean. People understand these things. People agree with this. So we need to unite humanity on the topic of Dharma, because Dharma unites all humans. Everybody's into Dharma. It doesn't matter what your culture is, what your religion is, doesn't matter where you're coming from, certainly doesn't matter what your skin color is, all these silly, superficial things. Nothing matters. Nothing changes Dharma. Everybody's into Dharma. So as we have to go beyond the superficial differences, and as a species, as a collective, focus on Dharma. Let's unite with Dharma. Let's understand that that's the most important thing, and that's what we should ask for of ourselves and demand from others, just as a global civilization. Expect that, use our social connection, the natural impulse we have as humans to create a society based on Dharma. That is the most important thing, I think. Well, those are some ideas. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below, and I'd love to hear from you. And have your rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.